All right, all right. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, everybody.
We're excited for this webinar here today. This is the first in our alignment webinar series, aligning your brand, marketing, and systems. This is our overall webinar, I will call it. So we have some more coming up that are going to dive deeper into each of the topics, but this is really all about clarity. And we're really excited to help you get some clarity today on your business and where you need to take your next steps because a lot of the decisions that you have to make in your business every single day can get overwhelming very quickly. So we want to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed and you have a clear path forward. If you have not met me before, I am Ashley. I am the founder and owner of Frame Reach Studio. We help home design businesses with their branding, marketing, and systems. I have worked in the industry of marketing for over a decade now and with home design businesses such as yourself for about 6 years now, which is super exciting. We are part of a bunch of wonderful organizations that you could see down at the bottom. We really value education in the industry, learning from our peers, sharing, and all of those great kinds of things. Our services include strategic marketing for you guys, branding, websites, AI automation, emails, all the things, and reach out if we can help you. But I also have Whitney here with me, who is our operations manager. Whitney, say hello.
Hi, good to see everybody this morning.
And Whitney keeps everything in alignment for us at Frame Reach. She's really awesome, and some of you may know her already. You probably do and love her just as much as we do. But she keeps everything moving right along with all of our client projects. Okay. So, why we're here today, we are here to gain that clear understanding of your business and how it is currently operating. And we're going to help you step back and see the bigger picture of how everything actually connects. Then we're going to identify what actually matters right now, because a lot of things matter, but some things matter more than others at the moment, a little more pain in certain areas. And how do we know where to focus next to move forward with confidence? That's a really big deal so that you're making your next decision confidently. We want to make sure that you're feeling good about it and you have that clarity. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. We have a workbook that goes along with this session. Whitney is going to paste it in the chat for you. You can also grab it from that QR code right there. It was also in the email that was sent out before the webinar started here today. And it will be, again, I'll send it out in the follow-up email after today too. You do not have to use the workbook to work through this session here with us today, but it will help you. And you can also kind of just write things down on paper while we're here and use it kind of as homework as well. Okay. So, what sounds familiar here? These are on the workbook, so if you have it handy, you can go ahead and circle it or mark it if you've got it on your computer. It is fillable, by the way, so if you want to put a little box around it, you can. But what here sounds familiar to you? I really want you to go, oh gosh, I feel that. It might be a little bit uncomfortable, right? But we really want to be honest with ourselves and say, okay, what is actually going on? Are you getting those inquiries and going, oh God, that wasn't the right person, or this isn't the right fit for us? Or are you getting clients and going, great, we're all excited, perfect fit, and then some things happen in the process. You're like, oh, that was a little bumpy, right? Or oh, we don't want to ask them for a review, right? Because maybe it didn't go that well. Are you constantly relying on referrals, right? You're not getting anybody from your marketing. That's a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Whitney, we've seen this too, right? Somebody comes in and we're talking to them, they go, I'm really only getting leads from people who are those referrals. And they go, oh, I didn't know you did that. It,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yes.
not on the wwebsite, right?
Yes. And it's pretty common because it's just their marketing is not educating people on all the things that they can do. So it's kind of that missed opportunity of finding out things that, maybe aren't their big sellers, but it's something that that client would have come to them, years or months before if they had known that they did that type of service just because they're not communicating it on their website.
Yep, exactly. And we're going to talk about opportunities such as that and how you uncover those. And again, how to move forward with confidence throughout this session today. So, when you are figuring out which of those things sounded familiar to you, you're going to go, ooh, there's that friction spot, right? Those friction spots usually happen in one of these three areas. Okay. It's either visibility, you're not getting enough people, and then your pipeline is empty, you're hearing the crickets, right? You're not getting the conversions that you want, right? They're misaligned. And then, like I said earlier, wrong projects. You go, "Ooh, that wasn't what I wanted. It's not in alignment with my goals." Or you do have you're in the quote unquote good problem to have bucket where you have too much work, but you're like, oh my gosh, I'm melting down, right? Things are crazy. My team is overwhelmed. It's not what you intend it to be, right?
Hmm.
So where are you feeling that friction? And again, this is on the worksheet. So if you want to circle one and there's a spot for some notes there for you to go, I'm feeling this one the most, write down why you're feeling that.
And even with that capacity too, Ashley, it may be that
Yeah.
it's an issue of like not knowing what team member owns that next step too.
Yes.
There's tons of work to do, but making sure like the right person knows that they're up next if there's a team in place.
Love that. Love that insight. So I want you to remember alignment equals brand, marketing, and systems all working together, but you can't fix them all at once. You're just going to overwhelm yourself. Magic wand would be wonderful, but unfortunately it doesn't exist. So we need to talk about how we pick our priorities. Okay. So, the alignment triangle here, again, we're talking about branding, marketing, and systems. I want you to imagine this triangle here as a three-legged stool. You may have heard this analogy before, so if you have, great, but let me explain for those that have not heard this before. It's in a book. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but all three support each other. They all support growth, but if one weakens, the others feel the strain. Again, I want you to imagine yourself sitting on this three-legged stool and one of those stools is a little shorter than the other. We've all been at the restaurant or at home on a stool, and you're like, "Oh, I need a little sugar packet under there, right? To even myself out." That is there's your opportunity to do that little fix so you're feeling even, right? And then something's going to change in your business. So one of the other stools is going to become a little shorter than the others, and you're going to weeble wobble a different way, right? So you're going to have a little bit of this kind of movement around, and that's good. That's growth, right? You want to be able to reach the top of the counter so you can eat your meal per se, right? You don't want to be sitting there and constantly, leaning backwards on your systems area and spilling your drink all over you, right? And you're going to keep feeling that pain. So lift
Hmm.
yourself up, stop spilling your drink, right? Um, and then your alignment triangle can be strong, right? Again, you're going to have movement. That's a good thing in growth. But if you're feeling that weeble wobble on one of those leg stools, you need to work on it. That's your opportunity.
And Ashley, I'll say too, like ignoring that weeble wobble as it gets worse, then
Yeah.
eventually will lead to the whole stool falling. So that's where you've got to listen to that and see like, okay, so this is working, this is not. Why am I feeling this over here? Because if you're not listening to that, then eventually the whole thing's gonna, collapse. And I don't mean like just the stool. I'm saying like your business will fail if you're not listening to the parts of your business that aren't and are working. I mean, but they have to balance each other out.
Exactly, exactly. And what we're going to look at here is scoring those pillars. So again, the legs of your stool, right? This is on your workbook. It's the bottom of page one. And how we're going to look at this is giving each one a score. Okay. Now they are scored independently and not against each other. So if everything is, and I hope everything's not terrible, but if everything's terrible, you could have three ones here, right? You could have three threes and so on. So what I want you to do is honestly look at each of these pillars and give yourself a number. Okay. So, branding, are you able to confidently answer all of those questions under branding? Is it clear to people who your business is for? Why should they choose you? And what makes you and your process unique? If it's not, it should not. I don't think any should be a five, honestly, because nothing's perfect. You could
Hmm.
give yourself a 4.5 if you want. But if you can't answer all those confidently, you shouldn't have a high number there, right? We want to look at the same thing for marketing. Are the right people showing up at your door, whether that's literal or, figuratively?
Hmm.
Is your content communicating your value? That's a huge one, right? Again, Whitney, that kind of alluded to what you were talking about earlier. People are like, "Oh, wow, you do that?"
Hmm.
It's like, well, you didn't tell anybody, right? We
Right.
need to make sure we're communicating the value. Okay. Is your message consistent, right? If somebody's seeing you on social media, they're going to your website, they're talking to somebody about you, right? There's all of these different ways that somebody can interact with your brand. Is it consistent in your marketing, right? And if it's not, that's really, really important to fix because that means that people are coming to you with different impressions of you. You really, really want that to be consistent. Okay.
And not only that too, but again, like we kind of talked about earlier, like if you're communicating different things on different mediums, then you're going to attract different types of people. And so obviously the ultimate goal is to attract the same type that is your ideal client. And so that's the messaging that needs to be going across all of those things.
Yep, exactly, exactly. And then systems. Does your business actually support the work? That's the, again, quote unquote, good problem to have situation. Are your projects structured and managed well? Right? If you go, oh, we always have this really big tension point, it's step three of our process, whatever that is,
Hmm.
you should have a little bit of a lower number there, right? So that makes you identify that opportunity for growth. How strong is your communication with your clients? Do you have a system for them to reach out to you, a system that you're reaching out to them with regular updates? Are they texting you at 7 a.m. on Sunday? Right? That kind of stuff. That's not what we want. We want that system in place. And how smooth is your team from day to day if you have one, right? And I want you to think about the team aspect as not just if you have an internal team, but the vendors you're working with, any types of partners or anything like that. Look at them also as your team and how
Hmm.
is your communication with them? Are there snags, that are causing friction with your client relationships, things like that? Look at the whole picture. Okay. The longer your misalignment goes unaddressed, the more it will affect your growth time, team, and client experience, right? I want you to really let that sink in. It's not just about your growth, it's everything across the board. Okay, so we're going to get into talking about stories and flows, and this is just to let it sink in a little bit more and help you identify where you should take your next step. Okay, so flow always, almost always moves in one direction. You work on your branding, you work on your marketing, you work on your systems, right? Especially when you're starting out, that's kind of the flow. You typically don't start by building out your processes and then go, let me figure out my message,
Hmm.
right? You have that, and then you kind of do that triangle situation that we were talking about to keep things growing. But if you're fixing one area without understanding the whole story, it might move that frustration somewhere else and the flow is interrupted. Like we were saying, okay, you put the sugar packet under the back right um, stool leg. Now we've got a little problem over here, right? But the key to it is the awareness, right? Just because you put the sugar packet under that leg doesn't mean everything is all fixed, dandy. It's always a work in progress, right?
Hmm.
When you update something in your branding and how you're speaking, let's say how you're speaking about your processes, make sure your process is actually updated for that, right?
Hmm.
That you're actually walking the walk. Okay. So, some examples of what all of that means. You may have invested in a rebrand, there's your story, but the systems, right? They're not really working it for that brand. You started marketing your business, but your positioning, excuse me, isn't converting the right clients. You build out your processes, but there's not enough visibility to fill the pipeline. Great, everything's going to flow well, but nobody's flowing through it, right? We need to fix that.
Hmm.
So, which one is you? Do you have that strong brand but the weak systems? Are you feeling that burnout, the missed details, the overwhelmed team? Are you actively marketing but your positioning is unclear? Are you getting the wrong clients, the price pushback, the frustration? Do you have solid systems but unclear messaging? You're really slow to grow. Your visibility is minor, right? And your team isn't fully utilized, right? Because you're not filling everything up. Again, this is on the workbook. Circle which one you are. Really let it sink in. Again, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just where you are in your business and getting that clarity so we can get to that next step.
And I think one thing too, Ashley, to keep in mind is like not to be ashamed of like where that gap
Exactly.
is,
Exactly.
because if acknowledging it is like the first step in fixing it. So like if you can tell yourself like, oh, that is where the issue is. And yeah, it can be frustrating to be like, man, my branding is way off. Like,
Yep.
and you may have already paid for like a rebrand, but like what you're doing now doesn't align with that. Like, yeah, it stinks, but like fixing that is going to be the thing that makes all the other stuff fall back into place. Because if you're not getting those clients because your brand is not clear of like what you're representing, then it's all going to fall apart. So just know that that's normal with businesses to have those moments of it's hard, it stinks to acknowledge those things, but taking the time to sit here and write down, like, okay, this is it. This is the pain point. This is what's wrong with us. It's
Mhm.
hard and it takes like a minute to kind of digest that. But once you do that, then you'll be able to actually take action steps to fix the issue.
Yes, and that's really the beauty in all of it too, because otherwise, how are you going to grow, right? How are
Hmm.
you going to improve your client experience? How are you going to improve anything, right?
Right.
And two, the other part of this is once you figure out from this session or some homework that you do later what your next step is, fix that thing, come back and repeat it. It's a
Hmm.
repeatable system. Now you fix that thing. Like I said, now the other stool needs a little help. Figure out what that thing is. And it's a
Hmm.
really good way to create momentum where otherwise you may have been like, oh God, I have 50 million things to do and I don't know where to start, so I'm going to do none. Right? It's a
Right.
very typical situation that may
Yeah.
happen with
I'm
business.
overwhelmed, so I'm just not going to deal with it. Yeah.
Yep, exactly, exactly. So let's find your story and your flow break. So where are things breaking? And then that will give you the path to where you need to start. So
Hmm.
again, if you're that strong brand, weak systems, the growth arrived before the operations could hold it. You need to fix your systems. That's where you start, right? You're actively marketing, but your positioning is unclear. That means your marketing was launched before the brand was clear. You need to work on your brand. Go back, do some strategy, do some research, talk to somebody that knows your industry, work with your team. There is beginning work that needs to be done there. Can that
Hmm.
also mean that you've done that in the past and now your business is somewhere different now? 100%. It happens all the time. And it's a
Hmm.
good thing. If you have a business that's been around a long time, I hope it's not the same that it was, 10, 20 years ago if your business is that old, right?
Yeah.
It's all in the growth.
A healthy business is going to evolve. And so
Yes.
just making sure you're taking the right steps and taking the time to focus on it to keep up with how your business has changed is going to keep you on that pace, even if you're a successful business, to continue to be successful. Because otherwise, you're going to be that business that everybody looks at and be like, man, they've never changed. They never do anything different. Like it's just going to you're going to rut down and then, the leads will eventually stop coming in because they're going to see that stagnant approach to your business.
Yes, and think too, we've all been to the website. It's probably happened kind of recent. You've been to maybe looking at a local business for some kind of service, whatever it may be, and you go to their website and you're like, ooh, that's an old website or whatever it is, right? Or their social media is totally empty. You're like, are they still in business?
Hmm.
Right? And it makes you question if, their business is up to today's standards, right?
Hmm.
If their online, whatever you're looking at, isn't up to date, it gives you like not a very good feeling about them.
Right.
So it's really, really important to keep that stuff up to date. Okay. Last one, solid systems, unclear messaging, operations built before visibility was established. You have brand and marketing work to do. Start with brand, go to marketing, right? It's great that you have solid systems if that's your story, but just make sure that you now that you've got that done, that there's clients that can actually come in and go through that process and experience
Mhm.
it, right? And likely too, if it is the first time somebody's going to be going through that process since an update to them, you'll probably find gaps and holes, right? Because you may look at it and go, perfect. Right. And then a client comes in and rears their head in a certain spot of your process and you go, ooh, let me update that. So maybe when you're scoring things here, that particular score for systems gets maybe a little half a point deduction, right? After you come back and review this again. Okay. So we're going to dive in a little bit deeper again, just to really get clear for you which is going to resonate with you. So if you are story one, strong brand, weak systems, brand is working, clients are coming. The issue is that the business can't sustain the growth. Okay. Here's what you can look at changing. These are just ideas. This does not mean if story one is your story that you have to stick to these four bullets. I just want to give you some direction on things that can help fix this. Okay. I don't want you to go, okay, I'm going to sit down tomorrow and fix my systems. That's not going to happen, right? You need to be very, very clear in what you're trying to fix in order for it to work. Okay. So Look at changing how your projects are handed off and managed. Is there a friction point in your onboarding, right? Is your client communication crazy, right? We've heard this a lot. I used the example a moment ago of the 7 a.m. Sunday morning text, right? If you're getting those and you don't want them, some of our clients are like, I don't care, whatever, it's fine. But others are like, that's my family time with my kids or whatever it may be. You need to set that expectation at the very beginning, right? And if you're not doing that, that's a step you can take today, tomorrow, update your however you are onboarding people. If you've got a welcome packet, communication standards inside of that welcome packet, welcome email, whatever it is you are doing, add that in there. Here are our working hours and our
Hmm.
preferred client communication channels, email, phone call, whatever it is, right? So really make sure to set that expectation. How does Whitney mentioned this? How your team knows what to do and when, right? So your step is done, hooray, check it off or assign to somebody else. Make sure that's super clean and clear.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to go, well, why didn't this team member do that thing? Well, if it's not clear in your process and your team isn't aware of who owns what next and when, it's going to get stuck. The client's going to go, where's that thing? A vendor
Hmm.
partner is going to go, hey, you guys working on that? Or that's not what you want, right? You want it to be very clear. Okay. Where is work getting dropped and repeated? Kind of what I mentioned a moment ago. Are you seeing a constant kind of drop off point of, ooh, every time we get to that step, there's like a weird 5 to 7 day delay? Why is that? Right? Is it that you're waiting on something external of you, or is it that a step in your process, it's not clear as to what's next? There's not a touch point sent out to the client to get their feedback immediately, whatever it may be. Okay. So I want you to ask yourself, where do things break down once a client says yes, right? After you get that, hooray, we're signed, we're moving forward. Where do we get that, uh-oh, spot?
Hmm.
If you're under story number two, which means you're actively marketing, but your positioning is unclear, that means you're being found, but the message isn't landing with the right people. Okay. So again, some examples of what you can change here. Again, you don't have to stick to these 4 bullets. These are just examples. Look at how clearly you describe who you work with. Okay. Are you working with the ultra high-end luxury type of people? Are you working with kind of your suburban kind of, target market? Are you working, some people work with like DIY people. Are you working with Airbnb investors, right? But then some other kind of people are reaching out to you. Who are you actually working with? Is it clear to them,
Hmm.
right? What I always say is that I want someone to raise their hand and go, that is me, and I need to work with this designer.
Hmm.
And if they can't do that, work on it
Hmm.
immediately, right? If you communicate what sets you apart, right? Because it's likely that another designer, design build firm, whoever is working with the same types of people that you are. You have competitors, right? Are you communicating what sets you apart? Is it your experience? Is it the type of work that you do? Is it, anything? What sets you apart? Okay. Is it your process? Make sure that your content speaks to your ideal client and their problems, right? So again, if they go, oh God, like that's a problem that I have,
Hmm.
and this person is telling me that they can solve it. That's what we want, okay? And we want that to be clear on your website. If it's not, again, somebody's going to go, I don't know if this is the right person for me. I don't have time to dig deeper. It's not clear right away. If they can help me, why should they convert?
And Ashley, I think something too that people have a hard time with sometimes is like it's okay for someone to come to your website and realize they're not your ideal client.
For sure.
Because if there is a certain standard, like Ashley was talking about, of like you like the higher end, the luxury, and like that's someone comes to your site and that's not their vibe, that's not what they're looking for, that's okay. You're not wasting your time with them calling you to figure that out because you didn't make it clear from the beginning on your website. And so you have to think of it that way of like, there's one angle of like you want all the business you can get. But then there's the other angle of like you want the business that you actually want and desire to be coming through your door versus just having business to have business. Because we've heard it before where, you know, people are doing design work that they don't love because it's the people that are coming to them. But
Yes.
they have to pay the bills, and they have to, it's their job, and they have to have an income from it. But if you're not doing the jobs that you actually want to do and desire to do, then that's where this positioning and making sure that you're super clear with your messaging is so important, so that the people that are coming to your site, which hopefully is all of the above, but then the ones that are actually the ones you want to work with are the ones that are like, oh, let me click here to contact them, or schedule that call from their website.
hmm And there's multiple ways and levels of which that can be done, literally through the wording itself, through the imagery, through the
Mm-hmm.
look of your website, and
Mm-hmm.
even on your contact form,
Mm-hmm.
right? So asking particular questions. We've done many times before, Whitney, where we have a budget drop down,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's a minimum on there. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a tasteful way to kind of let people know that you have a minimum without, spraying it out on your website. You can't work with us unless you have this much money. It is what it is,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if they're not at that budget level and they see that drop down and it's a, whatever to whatever as their first level, they may go, oh, not the right fit for
Not a
me.
good fit, right? And
Yeah.
then then you have the other angle of there are your peers that do want that other side of whatever it is
Yep.
that you do. So then they'll just go to, so say you are the one that's okay with you. Like, I love to just flip a bathroom. And like, I don't mind like little projects because I just like to get in there and make it look so much better. But then that's where even that drop down could be like communicating, like, bathrooms at this level, bathrooms at this level, bathrooms at this level. So just making sure whatever it is that your desire is very, very clear. And we're not saying one way is the right way and the other is
Right.
wrong. We're saying you just need to make sure that what you are desiring out of your business and the type of client that you're hoping to capture are the ones that are seeing those forms or the language on your site, and they're interpreting it to know that is me or that's not me.
Exactly. Love that. So let's hop into story three. You have solid systems but unclear messaging. Your operations are strong. The front door isn't open. People aren't finding you or understanding your
Mhm.
value. There can be a lot of things that go into this, as the others too, but here's a few things that you can look at changing. How consistently you show up and where. This
Mm.
can mean in the virtual world or the physical world, right? We'll start virtual first. Do you even have a website, right? Sometimes that's not the case. Do you have social media? Are you actually posting on that social media? Because sure, you can have a profiles across different platforms. If you're not actually posting to it, good luck getting somebody to find you, right?
Mhm.
If your area, if you're super hyper local, excuse me, are you doing something like Nextdoor, right? That's a super popular one. Are you trying to get found on House if that's working for you, right?
A
Or
Google business profile. Like,
Google
sometimes
Business
I've searched
Profile.
for, a company and seen that they don't have a profile, or they don't have hours, or they don't have a website listed on their Google business profile. I'm like, how do you even look at their menu if it's a restaurant? Like, and so that can be frustrating. But if you're opening those doors, like she's saying, of like, oh, it's a legit business, and maybe you don't have like a physical location because the nature of your
Mhm.
business is different than like a showroom. That's okay. But you're saying I still have hours. I'm still open 9 to 5, but it's just from my home, or like, that is totally fine. It's just making that very clear, is super important to show, like Ashley's saying, that you're open for business.
Yes, yep. And all those places online. And like I was saying as well, in person, are you going to events in your area? Are you going to
Hmm.
industry events? Even if your target market is not the one who is attending those events, I'll use KBIS as an example. That's the really easy example. You can post and make content about that and tell them that you are learning and staying knowledgeable in your industry. I don't know about you, but if I had somebody ripping apart my kitchen and redoing it, I sure would want them to be knowledgeable, right? And that's a big trust builder when it comes to messaging and positioning,
Hmm.
right? You want to tell them you're kind of the top dog in your area for whatever it is that you do, right? And
Hmm.
that's a really good way to prove it. So, how consistently are you showing up? The clarity, we've talked about clarity a lot here in your messaging. Just make sure that it's super obvious. You can obviously be I don't want to say fancy, but you can use certain words that give people a certain feeling. But at a certain point, you want to make it very obvious who you're serving, where you're located, and what you do, right? You don't want to try to elude too much on your services. And we want your brand to give a people a reason to choose you. Again, is it your process? Is it how you approach things? Is it literally the services that you offer that align with what they need? What is
Hmm.
it? Why should they reach out to you? Okay. Again, if they don't understand your value or you in under 10 seconds, they're not going to reach out. Really, that's probably more like 7 seconds, and that is darn quick, right?
Mhm.
And that number is only getting lower and lower the longer we go. Okay. So let's brainstorm your opportunities. What problem are you actually solving? You want to be really, really specific here. Do not just say growth. That's not a real
Mhm.
problem. Okay. You want to be super specific. Inquiries aren't converting is an example. Super specific. What does that actually depend on? So, is that a branding thing? Is it a messaging thing? Is it a systems thing? What is it, right? You've got a problem, you got a specific problem. Which of those three areas does it sift itself into? And what needs to come first? Understand what foundation has to be in place before a fix will work. So, what does that mean? If you are trying to improve your brand, right? You can't go, here's my new logo, right? You've got to do a whole bunch of foundational work in research and strategic thinking and all the things before you can come up with that new look. Okay. Okay, your gap statement. This again is also on your workbook. I believe it's page 3. This is going to help you make that decision of what you're going to start working on as soon as possible, right?
Mhm.
So the bold bracket areas are where you will fill in the blank. I'll give you an example in just a moment. But you're going to say, right now, my either brand marketing or systems isn't fully supporting my growth because of something, right? And the first thing I need to change is what? That's what you're going to work on. So let's look at an example. Right now, my systems aren't fully supporting my growth because my client communication methods are scattered. And the first thing that needs to change is to create and implement a set communication channel for my team and clients. Now imagine if your everyday felt super scattered, da, 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 you're jumping everywhere, answering a message in Slack and in here and in there, and a text message and an email and the phone call, and you said, here's our standards, this is how we work. What a breath of fresh air,
Mhm.
right? Imagine how that, and it's not a terribly, you may have a little bit of growing pains, I'll say, trying to make that change and people get used to it, but what a difference that would make in your everyday if that's your issue,
Mhm.
right? Same thing, imagine if your issue was, the clarity on your website and your messaging, and you're, oh my gosh, every time somebody fills out a contact form, they're asking me these particular things, and that's not what I do. Do an update. It's going to take some time, right? But the clarity and that, again, breath of fresh air, getting that thing fixed, and that first lead coming in going,
Mhm.
I'm in alignment with what you do. I want to buy your whatever it is. You go, oh my gosh, this is great, right? Tips here for you. I don't want you to write a tactic. Posting more on Instagram, you know, blunt, who cares, right? It's a symptom, not a strategy. So make sure to be super specific in what you're doing in something like this, but posting more isn't going to do it, right? What you want to do is if a goal is to be more visible on Instagram, you want to make sure that you're doing it strategically, right? Meaning that your positioning and messaging and all the things is clear. Because you can go post 100 photos on Instagram, great. If nobody sees them, again, who cares, right? Because if it has no direction to it. Don't write something like get more organized. We can all get more organized, right?
It's like, what does that mean?
What does that mean? Be specific. Make it something that you can actually, again, step up from this webinar if you don't have another meeting right after this and get started on. Be super specific. And don't try to fix everything at once. Don't put yourself
Mhm.
back into that overwhelmed bucket. We all know it's not a fun place to be. What we want from this is clarity and a one path forward again, and then we can kind of rehash and come back through and keep the business growing. And I want you to think about this. If you fixed only one thing in the next 90 days and everything else stayed the same, what would make the biggest impact in your business? Okay. Just because we're talking about this here today in this, 45-minute or so session, it doesn't mean that what you're fixing needs to be done by next week. Because we also don't want to overwhelm you with trying to do okay, got this thing done next, got this thing done next, right? There's not a harsh timeline, but the 90-day timeline is great because it's quarterly.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you have something that you want to get done, give yourself that we just went into a new quarter. This is great timing, right? Give yourself the end of the next quarter for whatever it is that you're working on. It's realistic. It's not going to, interrupt if you've got lots of projects on. Hope you do, right? Going on right now. But it's going to give you that time to really approach whatever you're doing
Hmm.
strategically and make sure that you're doing it right and make sure that you have the time to review whatever it is that you're working on before you launch whatever it is and put it into practice. Okay.
That's exactly what I was thinking about, Ashley, is like even like if you're thinking my website doesn't communicate the ideal client, 3 months, it should give you ample time to kind of go through the pages of your site and be like, where is it unclear? Like, and physically, like noting like where that language needs to change, and then getting either yourself or whoever's managing your website to make those verbal changes in staging to where you can then go back and look at it and say, okay, yes, now it's like spot on, so having that kind of that, like much more, like she said, digestible time frame of like, and then, hopefully in 3 months you're launching all those changes. Like to me, like that doesn't sound as overwhelming as saying like we need to change all the language and it needs to be changed today. Like,
Right.
because yes, it does need to be changed today if it's not attracting the right clients, but like that's not realistic to say that you could get it done in a day. So don't put that pressure on yourself of saying like something of that magnitude needs to happen in a day or a week. You need to give yourself time to digest each part of whatever that, I mean, not specifically harping on a website, but whatever that change is to digest when you see those changes happening. Is this where, or if it's a process change, is this actually helping us because we've started to kind of implement it before we like fully push this as part of our new process?
Yep. Yep. Love it. Love it. So I want you to take this PDF with you that you have. I'll give you this slide deck as well in the follow-up email. So if you want to run back through it, you'll have access to it, but you'll have access to that workbook. If you printed it out, great. If you've got it digitally and you're filling out the form virtually, whatever you want to call it, it is yours. Make a copy, right? Make one for Q2. Again, we just started Q2. Rename the file Q2 2026. Make a duplicate, make another one for Q3, and so on, right? This is 100% reusable, which is the greatest part about it, right? So it's yours to keep. I want you to revisit it before our next session in 2 weeks. I hope you're going to join us. The next one is about branding. Even if that's not your statement, it would be really, really great for you to join because when you get to that step, because again, this is all a work in progress, right? That's
And
that's
all
all that business
connected.
doing. Yep, yep, exactly. So join it, take notes. If that's going to be your Q4, deal, the branding, you're going to have those notes ready for you to go, right? I want you to use this to guide your focus. We all get, oh my gosh, this, that, right? Use this to guide your focus, hone in on it. It's the perfect time for it. And remember, the goal today was not to fix everything. The goal was clarity, and we got some.
Hmm.
We got some clarity. So here's our next session. If you'd like to join, Whitney will pop the link in the chat so you can sign up for that. There's obviously a QR code as well. When this session closes, that registration link will also pop up for you. So we've got multiple ways for you to make sure that you get signed up. And that one, like says here, we're going to focus on the brand aspect specifically. Okay, so if that is your gap statement, you definitely want to join us for that session. If it's not, still highly encourage it so you can take notes for later when you come back to it. But we are going to dive super, super deep into that foundational piece. We're excited for that one. And that's 2 weeks from today. And last, if you need some more help on this, we have a few options. Our first one is the alignment assessment here. This actually is going to give you an immediate, I'll call it grade from what we talked about today. It's going to lead you through a bunch of questions and it's going to say, here's your strengths, here's your weaknesses, and here's where you could work next. So if the worksheet is something that you go, ooh, I'm, not totally my style to work through that on paper kind of thing, this is a digital form that'll lead you straight through and give you results immediately. It will also ask you at the end if you'd like to hop online with me to discuss your results, and we can talk about getting you some more clarity to fix those things. Okay. And last but not least, we have a Q&A. If there are any questions, Whitney, are there any questions that we have at all?
I don't see any now, but if there's anybody that has anything they want to put in before we hop off, that would be awesome.
Awesome, awesome. If we don't, then we are all good. We appreciate everybody joining us today. I hope you got some clarity, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.